you're looking at something that very few people know about, and that is the fraud in your DMV in your state of creating a driver license for someone who doesn't have a license or whose license expired because that person declined any further to be involved in agreement with the state to carry on the trade, occupation, or calling of driving a motor vehicle. Driving a motor vehicle is a privilege just like plumbing, accounting, scrap metal dealing, or embalming. And when you decide to leave real estate appraisal, let's say the privilege of that, and you're going to do something else, well, you let your license lapse. It lapses, but what happens if that department says, you know, that person quit real estate appraisal, and we're going to accuse that person after that license expired for something that person did on his own, right, without the license present, without pretending to be a licensee. We're going to come back against that person and say, well, that person does still have that license. And we know that person has a license because we assigned the person a license now, apart from any application. In the driving area, it's called the record only, history only record. And this right here is from my open records request, and it shows what the clerk in the Department of Safety in Tennessee does to create a license from nothing. Ex nihilo, from nothing. A license created for someone, as it were, without the application, without the eye color, without the hair color, without the signature, without the payment, without the photo. A history-only record. This is how they get people. They create a presumptive jurisdictional claim upon the person by saying, well, that person has a revoked driver license. And you know what they should be saying? That person has a revoked driver license number, because they don't actually give you a license in this process. They just assign you a number. Okay? You never had a license, but now suddenly you're charged with driving unsuspended. Well, how's that? They found out your name and address, and they assigned you a number on a history-only record. And here's where the clerk, these are the instructions for the clerk. It says, there are times when violations are reported on a driver who does not exist in our system, okay? Someone not involved in commerce, right? A private ingress-egress person, a user of the public right-of-way, someone who's free. He goes on to say right here, this could be an out-of-state driver, a minor, or a resident who does not own a Tennessee credential, okay? Someone who's out of the system. In these scenarios where a violation, notice, must be posted to a record, a history-only account must be created for the customer. Notice this bit of ID fraud. We, Department of Safety, create a history-only account. Must be created. It's happening in your state too. It's called the history-only record. Oh. The required information is last name, date of birth, and address. That's it. The address can be a valid out-of-state address. It will save the record. You will now be able to post certain offenses and activities to this record as you normally would with other accounts in the system. What that's saying is we create an account by someone ourselves apart from payment. We create it in the Department of Safety, in your DMV. Okay, that's how people you know are charged criminally. They're charged criminally on driving unsuspended, driving on revoked. They never, they let it lapse. They're not. It's like the department is saying we have an evergreen clause in our agreement. In other words, once you apply for it, you always have it. If you're supposed to have it, a license, you have it. That's out of the. That's out of a case out of a gnome, one of our leading gnomes in Knoxville, John Ballinger. The court said, you are a licensee if you're supposed to be a licensee and have a license. You get that? That's called presumption. Legal fiction. I think we need to sue for a declaratory judgment.